Watch this video and you'll become a sculpting pro. Hey guys, it's Cam and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is all about contouring, and we are going to go through a lot of different contouring techniques from beginner to a little more advanced, and I'm really excited to show you guys how I get this really nice high defined cheekbone effect. So if you want to find out how I do that, keep watching. And make sure to subscribe because we're in the midst of my how-to makeup series, and I'm going to link that playlist for you up here so that way you can check out all the videos in that series. But today's is all about contouring. So if you're excited to learn how to contour, hit that thumbs up button down below. Alrighty, so let's cut the chit chat and get to contouring. Alright, so as you can see, I did the rest of my makeup, but stopped before I did anything with my face. So with all of my foundation, eye, and lip makeup done, my face is looking a little bit round and flat and just not really defined. So that's what we're trying to do with contouring and bronzing here. So the very first thing that I recommend, if you're new to contouring, you've never done it, is simply to contour with bronzer. It's going to be a lot easier. It's not going to be as pigmented as contour. You're not going to have to be as precise with it, and you're still going to get some sculpted definition without having to worry about like having lines on your face. So the worst advice that I've ever heard about bronzing is to bronze where the sun would hit your face, because I don't know about you, but for me, that's like right up in here. And so when I was younger, I would actually apply bronzer right here. And as you can imagine, that did not look very good. So I think part of the confusion there comes from the fact that we're also told to highlight where light would hit your face. And now that's more correct. You would want to highlight where the light is hitting your face naturally. But with bronzing, you really want to more try to bronze where you're starting to see natural shadows. So I'm starting to get some shadows over here. I have some along my hairline on my forehead right here, and of course I have some shadows under here. So that's where you would want to apply your bronzer. Now the two brushes that I absolutely love and recommend for applying bronzer are the Sigma F10, and this one is actually my favorite because of the way that it is shaped. You can go either horizontally or vertically like this, and this brush just blends out everything, like bronzer, blush, amazingly. So I use this for both. But if you want to use something that like really helps you get right in that hollow, then you can use something like this, which is the Real Techniques sculpting brush. And because of the way the head is shaped, it's nice and angular and just really helps you emphasize that hollow of your cheekbone. So the bronzer that I'm going to be using today is my absolute favorite of all time, and that's the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. And I've tried to find a dupe for this, but to be honest, I don't feel like anything comes close to this color and just the way that the pigment is buildable but also blendable, and not to mention it just smells amazing. So that's why I absolutely love this bronzer. So I'm going to do half of my face with each of these brushes. So you just want to swirl it a little bit, tap off the excess. I'm going to start bronzing this cheek like I normally would because this is my go-to brush. And so you want to go near that hollow and then just right above it. And give yourself a nice light sweep. Now try to focus it right here by your ear and then just sweep a little bit forward. If you have any excess, blend it up. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other brush. Now while this one gives you a little more precise placement, it is a little harder to blend it out, so you may want to layer it on a little more slowly. But as you can see, it does give that nice precise placement. And you can also turn it over on its side and blend out that way. Then you can take a little bit and just bronze up your forehead right here. And under the chin as well. Now as you can see, this color is just gorgeous. It is not too ashy, not too orangey, simply perfect to just give you a little bit of color and just make you look a little tanned. Now if you want, you can totally stop here, and this is what I recommend if you're new to contouring, just so that way you can practice like the placement and how to blend it, because it's going to be a little bit more difficult once we go in with contour powders. But to be honest with you, this is what I do on a lot of days, especially when I'm wearing something like a BB cream that doesn't quite offer super full coverage like my foundation does, because if you put too much product over BB cream, it can just start to look a little muddy when you don't have a perfect base to start off with. And so if you do want to go in and start contouring and everything, I recommend using a foundation with slightly more coverage. Now the contour kit that I'm going to use today is the e.l.f. Contour Palette, and I actually do not recommend this one because I've had horrible results using it with most brushes. It's pretty patchy and doesn't blend the easiest. So for all of you watching, definitely go out and get the Anastasia contour kit or the NYX one. They're both really good quality. And of course, you know, one's a high-end option, one's a more budget option, but both of those perform fantastically. This is actually just all I have at the moment, and so I'm using it because I found a way to make it work. And the only way that I can actually make this powder work is actually with my favorite contour brush, and that is the Sigma F35. And this brush is actually meant to be a highlighting brush, but because of the way it is shaped, it is super easy to get in that hollow of the cheek, and you can either go at it straight or at an angle, and because of the way that the bristles are tapered, it's going to give you a line that's already blended out for you, so it's really a lot less work. Now I just wanted to touch on the fact that I do not recommend a lot of these like flat brushes like this, because you're just going to get a harsh line and they're really hard to blend out. So unless you're like a blending pro, I don't recommend something like this, because even though it might seem easy to get that nice contour line, it's going to be a pain to blend out. Also, I don't recommend e.l.f. brushes, and so if you want to learn more about the best kinds of brushes to get, I'm going to link my video all about brushes for you up here, so that way you can see a little bit more of which brushes are good and which aren't. The very first thing that I'm going to do is go in with this lighter powder. And as you can see, it's a little bit warmer than this one, which is very cool. So I'm just going to take it on the very tip of my brush, tap it off really good. And now you have a couple options when it comes to the shape of actually contouring your cheekbone, and it's all going to depend on the type of look that you want to achieve. So if you want to create a cheek that pops right here and have a really nice rounded apple of the cheek effect, you're going to want to curve your line up a little bit, and that's just going to make your cheek pop. If you want to actually slim your face, then you're going to want to bring the line straight down, especially if your face is wider here. And so that's actually the technique that I'm going to show you today. So I'm going to start my line here, kind of at the bottom of where that bronzer is, and just start doing a line. Now you're going to want to concentrate it the most right here by the hairline. So I'm going to make that kind of the darkest spot, and then ever so slightly bring it in. And then I'm just going to repeat on the other side. Now you really don't want to use a lot of product. You want to go nice and slow and just build it up to the level that you want it at. And again, really concentrate it right over here in this outer edge before you even hit your cheekbone. And just bring a little bit down. And you can either do this with the brush straight on like this, or flip it on its side. Both ways are going to give you a really nice blend. Okay, now I've given some nice natural definition to my face. And I recommend stopping here if you're going to go out and about, if it's the middle of the day, because it's giving you a nice little chiseled effect, but it's absolutely nothing dramatic, and it just kind of blends into that bronzer and just deepens up the hollow slightly. But if it's now nighttime and you want to amp up the drama, then go into the cooler toned powder. And with this, I'm going to show you a really nice effect that you can do to really lift that cheekbone. And so this area right here is like right below my cheekbone is. So what you're going to want to do is go right under that bone, and you're really going to make it pop and get a super lifted cheekbone effect. Now you're going to want to blend the excess powder back towards your ear, and really don't bring this out any further than where your eye begins. And so as you can see, I got a really nice lift of my cheekbone right here, and I still have no harsh lines. Now you can again do this with a brush facing towards you or slanted. Either way is going to give you a nice blended outline. And now I'm just going to repeat on the other side. And don't worry too much about trying to blend all of the edges completely, because once you apply blush, it's definitely going to create that ombre effect and help disguise any edges. So that's why I don't recommend wearing just contour on its own without blush and highlight as well to really complete the effect. And once we've lifted those cheekbones, if you don't feel like it's quite as face slimming as you want it to, that's when you can start extending a little bit and just start slimming down that cheek. Now this is quite a dark color for contouring, especially if you're on the more fair side. So I recommend getting this NYX Individual Pan Blush, and this is in the color Taupe. And I know this is a blush, but it's actually a contour shade. And this is perfect for somebody with very fair skin. I actually apply self-tanner sometimes, so I will be a little more on the tan side, but this is great, especially if you have that sort of porcelain complexion where you don't feel like you can use a lot of contour powders. Now another trick that you can do if you want a sharper line for your contour is apply some setting powder underneath and then wipe it away. You can bake with it or not, but it's just going to help really sharpen up that line. So I'm going to use my e.l.f. translucent powder and my damp sponge. And so what you would do is just dip the tip into some powder and then draw the line wherever you want. Okay, so now I covered up where some of that contour is, and if your skin is on the oily side, then you may want to consider leaving it to bake, but I'm just going to brush it off right away. And then you can see how that contour is a little bit more defined now. Now as far as contouring your nose goes, you're going to want to use a smaller brush than this one, just because if you use a larger brush, you're not going to be as precise with it, and you risk the chance of messing with the foundation and moving it. So I like to use this brush, and this is the Expert Concealer Brush from Real Techniques. And it's really nice, small, and fluffy, and kind of a little bit flat, so it can really create some nice lines, but that also just come blended out already, so that way you don't have to do a lot of blending on your nose. Now you can also use an eye blending brush for this. Those work great as well, but this is the brush that I have. And I recommend using the lighter powder just so that it doesn't look too harsh, because that way you can just kind of look like your nose is dirty. So I like to take some on the brush and then just take it off on the back of my hand so I don't have too much product to work with. And you want to start building it up nice and slow. For most people's nose shapes, definitely not mine, a lot of people want to create the illusion of a slimmer nose. So all you would have to do is do 2 lines, basically following the curve of your eyebrow right down the bridge of the nose. And the closer those 2 lines are, the thinner your nose is going to appear. But my nose is already pretty thin. I kind of have other issues I need to deal with, which is this hump and the fact that my tip is very bulbous. So the first thing that I'm going to want to do is shorten my nose. So if you're doing the 2 lines, you can connect them over here just to shorten your nose a little bit, but that's primarily where I need to focus. So I'm going to start between the nostrils and then just build up some color here. Then, if you see where the light is hitting the sides of my nose right here, that's where I'm going to want to put that powder to just kind of cut the reflectiveness there to give the illusion of a narrower tip. And again, we really want to go light with this because too much powder and your nose starts looking really dirty. And now there's not much that can be done about a hump like this, but I am just going to put a little bit of powder right here. So that way there's not a lot of light reflecting here, thus making it look like elevated. I'm just going to darken this general area over the hump. Much better. Alrighty, so now I'm just going to finish off the look with some blush and highlight, which you would want to do after your bronzer and contour. And for blush, I'm going to be using NARS Orgasm. And I'm not really doing a separate video on blush, so I just want to point out with the application of it that you want to start on the outer edge of the apple of your cheek and sweep it up right above where that contour line is, just to blend everything together. And again, the more you concentrate it out here, the slimmer your face is going to look, but putting some over here is going to give you that nice defined apple of your cheek. And I am using my Sigma F10 for this because it's my favorite brush for both bronzer and blush. And what I like to do is stamp it right here to make sure that I'm not blending it in, and then brush it up and out. Now I'm just going to do a very subtle highlight. I'm using my Makeup Revolution Vivid Baked Highlighter in the color Golden Lights, and I'm also using another Sigma F35. Now I have two different brushes for this because I don't want to mix up the contour and the highlight. And I'm going to talk a lot more in depth about highlight in my highlighting video, which I'm going to link up here for you if you want to see that. But this is just a very general sweep of highlighter. Okay, and so that's the completed look. My nose is looking a little less bulbous, no plastic surgery needed, and we have a really nice defined and lifted cheekbone with the contour. And that's it for today. So I hope you learned a lot about contouring, and if you did, please hit that thumbs up button down below for me. And of course subscribe, because again, we're in the midst of the How To Makeup series, which I'm gonna link the playlist for you up here. So if you did like this video, then definitely check out the others. And if you still have some questions, don't hesitate to leave me a comment down below and I'll be sure to answer. And if you're still here, here's 2 more videos by me that you can check out. And then click on my face and it'll subscribe you to my channel so that you don't miss out on all of my videos. That said, I love you all so much, and I'll see you in my next video.